Hey there, welcome to episode 53 in season 1. We were in season 0. Now we are in season 1, episode 53 of the Cafe Genius Impresario's audio program. Some people say quality is job 1. We begin counting seasons at 0. Today is Friday morning, March 1. It may be March 1, March 1st, 2024. It's around 10 a.m., in fact, here in windy Las Vegas. The day first Friday was canceled, or moved to next Friday, in fact. This actually happens not infrequently, probably at least once every 2 years. So, a windy day here in Vegas. Friday, March 1st. Why am I saying May? I don't know. March 1st, 2024. Interesting times, part 1. Part 1 because hopefully there will be other interesting times, although not what you think, perhaps. There is a faux saying, or possibly a curse, may you live in interesting times, which you may have heard spoken by Donald Sutherland in the movie, what was it called? The Disclosure. Demi Moore, Michael Douglas, Donald Sutherland. May you live in interesting times. I have asked people in China. They have never heard that expression, but it was allegedly a Chinese toast or curse. May you live in interesting times because the interesting times are chaotic. It always seems apropos here in Greater Vegas area, especially when it comes to any sort of entrepreneurial or innovation, especially ecosystem-related endeavors, but also all the time otherwise. Interesting times. Let's get to the links, which hopefully will be visible wherever you are visiting this episode of the Cafe Genius Impresario's audio program. First, my self-promotion, shameless, though not necessarily lucrative by design. Buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo. I have links to my 4 weekly audio programs that I produce and project links and so on. It's just a central place to find these things. And if, on the off chance you'd like to purchase me a coffee, you may do so. Any funds that appear through the buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo gateway will be applied to coffee. I've actually added some of my favorite coffee beans to that profile page on that site. That's in relation to an episode of the Quaggling Sand audio program, Making Coffee, which you can find if you want. Ko-fi.com/Dan Hugo, ko-fi.com/Dan Hugo, another engagement tool that enables some sort of financial collaboration. Do not feel obligated to spend any money at either of those places, but just be aware they exist. You can find my links to other sites, other projects. Presently, the audio programs appear through the Spotify, formerly Anchor, Spotify for Podcasters portal, automatically published to Spotify.com. Some other places. Google Podcasts is going away. I have a YouTube channel that they're gonna move podcasting from Google Podcasts to YouTube Music or YouTube Podcasts. I can't remember. I know it's amazing that Google would cancel a product, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so if you know that you can find all my stuff through the buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo profile page, you don't have to worry about paying for anything. You don't have to buy me anything. You don't have to spend any money at all. But I will update those links once we begin our primary self-publishing of our content for the programs I'm currently producing, and then whatever comes next. And then Spotify for podcasts will be, and then all the related sites. I'm going to try to get onto iTunes, which requires more setup than it used to a long time ago. So all that'll be visible. Buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo. That's why it's there. On to the next link. So interesting times are times of chaos. So I have a couple of links here that are very recent. They are by no means comprehensive. They are not intended to summarize the entire state of affairs within the Greater Vegas area. They are just some data points. They're data points that we will see again, and they are an indication of an unusual or shall we say, interesting near-term future. So first of all, the teachers union, I don't know if it's legal to have a teachers union. Is that something that was sorted out? The teachers union is suing the state over the A's stadium. Government money, public funds have been awarded to, promised, given to the A's, Oakland A's organization. Since this will be an ongoing story, probably for years, we can keep it light today. But I want to say it was $300 million and something towards I want to say about $1.2 billion. Picking those numbers out of memory, so they could be off a little bit. Government funds going towards getting the project started. The Tropicana, among the oldest remaining resort structures here in the Greater Vegas area, is already beginning its orderly shutdown procedure. So reservations and employees and the notion that the building will still be there, all fading away. And coming soon to that corner will be the new baseball stadium for the Las Vegas A's, or whatever they're going to call them, the Athletics. So teachers union wants to stop that because those funds should go to something more useful, like education. I don't know if that's enough money. The mayor of Las Vegas has some advice for the A's about their negotiations with the Bay Area. Oakland, getting out of Oakland is going to be trickier than they, I would say, planned, but I don't think they planned it. I don't think they planned much. But yeah, the mayor has some words. It's funny to me, and it's the ESPN website, which I will navigate to now. I'm pointing this out. First of all, the mayor is a person. She can certainly express an opinion. That's totally fine. The reason I'm highlighting this particular one, though, is, where is it? The A's ballpark is planned for a 9-acre parcel on the Las Vegas Strip. That's where the Tropicana is. The mayor suggested that the congestion at that corner will make the site less attractive than a larger site in North Las Vegas, which she proposed. Now, north is lowercase, so I assume she means north part of the city of Las Vegas. Side note, that's where I live. So I don't know how I feel about that. If you read this article, there is very clearly a feeling, a message, maybe a misunderstanding that this is a Las Vegas issue. Now, as we know, it's a greater Vegas issue. Maybe there was going to be a stadium within the city of Las Vegas administrative boundaries, but the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign, this stadium, the arena for the Golden Knights, these are not in Las Vegas. So to me, it is interesting, although not necessarily a problem. I'm not complaining, but I think it is interesting that the mayor of Las Vegas is the go-to person. It might be interesting to speak to the county commissioner, get some opinions on, or maybe other government officials involved with the awarding of the funding, public funding for this project. So it's interesting that the mayor will come up again shortly. But yeah, so I'm only pointing it out because there is always the confusion, mild or otherwise, that some things that have a Las Vegas label are not actually taking place in the city of Las Vegas. I've had this conversation several times just in the last week. Like, by the way, you are not in Las Vegas right now. And the person I was speaking to said, what? But I'm on the Strip. Yeah, both things can be true. So that's just interesting to me. But the case of the Las Vegas A's will continue to be an ongoing story, to be sure. The A's are in talks with Oakland about a lot of things. I have a brief story. I haven't even gotten to the notes of of this episode. We're still in the links. Crazy. When I was working for UMax Computer Corporation, UMax was the owner, can't remember his name, in Taiwan, UMax Data Systems, UMax Group. So the chairman, the CEO of all that, he was a big, huge, gigantic sports fan. Loved the Oakland Raiders. To be honest, he loved the Oakland Raiderettes. But he wanted to name the Oakland Coliseum. This was a long time ago. It was 98, 99, 99? It was 99, 1999, a long time ago. Let's rename the Oakland Coliseum to the UMax Coliseum. Somewhere it may have been lost in the fire, but I had, or maybe I still have, a white t-shirt with a red UMax logo, UMax Coliseum. So interesting times. It was going to happen. The Joint Powers Group, I think it's called, is an Oakland organization made up of the city folk, the Coliseum, I guess property owners, and then the Raiders at the time. The Raiders have since moved to Las Vegas, and the Oakland Athletics team. So during the UMax Coliseum negotiations, there was one element of the Joint Powers Group that was causing all manner of trouble, and so the whole deal fell through. And that team, I'll give you a hint, starts with an A. So not surprised by any of this. So they're trying to figure out what to do about their role in the property of the Oakland Coliseum. I'm not even sure if they figured out where they're going to play between the time they leave Oakland and the time they move to Vegas. There's going to have to be a waypoint somewhere. So they're still working that out. So best laid plans of the Oakland A's. But they do remain optimistic. There's an article in the Review Journal. So 2 Review Journal articles I've been talking about. I have another link to Fortune.com. Boring Company is actually exciting. It's not that boring. They seem to have paid very little attention or effective attention to employee safety at their work sites, at their job sites. So while the boring hardware may be very cool, it may do amazing things drilling through the earth, apparently they were not paying attention to the people involved, and so there have been injuries, risking of death. There's lawsuits or investigations or all manner of OSHA involvement. So go figure. Maybe stop tweeting a little bit and tell the other company that you own to get their act together. How about that? It is interesting to note that the Boring Company really has one major project of note in the world, and it's right here in Greater Vegas. It's more in Clark County, by the way. So the next article on our local news site, News 3LV, News Channel 3, from the Mayor Goodman. She voted against the Boring Tunnel, so kudos to her for that. I believe there was a tweet when I was still using Twitter, like, hey, does anybody have any opinions on the tunnel? And I remember thinking, I posted it, like, this is a dumb idea. It's just dumb. I would love to see money being spent. Now, the tunnel is self-funding. The entire agreement involves Boring Company doing the work and then recouping and then, who knows, becoming profitable at operating. Like, they would take the ownership of the routes and the driving of the not driverless Tesla vehicles. Because why put in tracks and have an underground commute train of sorts? They have done this for a long time in other places. So why not have a subway? Why do we need to have people driving individual Tesla vehicles? But either way, so Mayor Goodman had voted against. It was 13-1. I think that was on the LVCVA board that made this decision to enable this project. So she's expressing her concerns, and so good for that. So like I said, not necessarily anti-mayor at all. In this case, she had a material participation in the Oakland A's stadium situation. I guess she was recommending a location within the city limits, North Las Vegas, not to be confused with North Las Vegas. And it is what it is, and she always has an opinion. Not a good opinion during the pandemic on that stuff, but that's a different story. Small businesses are suing everybody over Formula One losses. Now, I have done 3 audio programs, 3 episodes on the fun economy, spelled F1UN, fun. The fun economy, whereby it is the big players that were most exciting and the ones that were ideally going to profit from the Formula One races. And that is, at least according to reporting, what has happened. So if you were the win, if you were the Bellagio, maybe, if you were able to sell hotel rooms at a nice markup and have Formula One packages for your visitors, I think there was, if I'm recalling correctly, 300,000 people, more than projected or usual. LVCVA numbers are a little bit opaque, so it's hard to say exactly. But if there were indeed 300,000 more visitors that were not here for a convention, it's possible that they were here for Formula One. So can you connect that to actual benefit? But then at the same time, can you connect the Formula One construction, the possibility that some visitors were put off by the construction, by the lack of the trees at the Bellagio, by the fountain being shut down for a while, by the Venetian gondola stuff being shut off, the various other encumbrances. Moving around on the strip was not as fun or easy during that time. The walkways with the covered glass and all manner of chaos to enable this event that made the rich richer. But in some cases, small businesses suffered. There was one restaurant that alleges a $3 million loss. So you can begin the journey of following this to whatever bitter end it reaches. Small business suing everyone. So that's I think it's about a 2-minute video, if I recall correctly. Yeah. And then I think that's channel 8. It's a YouTube link. I think it's News 8. And I try not to pause and read articles again. So I read them or watch a video, sometimes not the day before. Sometimes I find these articles, I collect the links to them, and then I put them together here. So I don't always review them for the finer points, but I do read them eventually in the past. I read them when I find them, not necessarily right before I record an episode. So they're not always fresh, but yeah, have a look. The Strat, formerly known as Stratosphere, takes one for the team. The Strat did not do as well in Formula One, even though the Stratosphere, or the Strat, is the tallest structure in, I believe in Nevada, but certainly in Las Vegas. Tallest structure, somewhat noteworthy, especially if you were up there and you wanted to get a view of the race. So they didn't do so well. They're looking for some options and possibilities for the next version of Formula One racing in November of 2024. So we'll see how that goes. I do have a point to mentioning these, as I said, so we'll get to that. So why is this interesting? Why are we in interesting times? Part 1. And again, part 1, because I have a feeling we will continue to be in interesting times. There will be additional parts that all kind of align with this general chaos notion. Like I said, Donald Sutherland is toasting his crew at the company. They're making hard drives, among other things. Some odd nerdle components there with hard drive mechanisms, I believe, manufactured in Singapore, while Michael Douglas was in the main office in the U.S. somewhere. May you live in interesting times. Like I said, I have asked native Chinese speakers from China. They were not aware of this expression being a toast or a curse. Interesting times could be good, but are often chaotic, which can lead to trouble. So I've heard it referred to as a curse, a Chinese curse, but I could not find any evidence of that fact. Unlike the planting of the tree, the best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago. The second best time is now. That's based on a Chinese proverb about shade from a tree in 100 years or something. So I've covered that previously. Bottom line, not sure where this expression comes from, but I've always enjoyed it because it is true. These are interesting times. I like to say chaos is opportunity. That's one I don't think I've made up, but I think I've crafted it into something I use as if it were my own. And there is a lot of opportunity, intended to be somewhat sarcastic. It's probably true, and no more true than here in Greater Vegas. Chaos is opportunity, plenty of opportunity. Whether that opportunity is lucrative, that's another story. Nothing is really easy, nor should we expect it to be. But I personally wonder, and perhaps you do also, who is flying the plane, especially lately. So if you look at some of these items I've just mentioned here, these are just some things. They're just things that have in the past week or two. In fairness, the teacher union lawsuit against the state for the funding of the stadium project was being talked about in November, shortly after, I want to say the funding was approved in October 23rd or something, late October. So the discussions of a lawsuit were already happening in November. And I want to say it was early February, like February 6th, I think it was, for the the ball to begin rolling. So this is not necessarily in the last day or two, but it's definitely fresh news, these 3 topics I've selected. There will be more. There will certainly be more, and they will all fit into an overarching concern that I have, and maybe you do too, like who is connecting all these dots? Who is accounting for the unintended consequences or the second and third order effects of some of these decisions? Like, yeah, let's rip up all the streets and have race cars. I wonder if anyone will suffer from that. Nah, let's not even think about it. So that is something I'm mildly concerned about. And I always tell people part of the reason is because I am an investor in this Greater Vegas entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem, not with piles of cash, but with something yet more important, which is an interest in doing entrepreneurial innovation here, and the skills and background and again, desire to do these things. So you may be in the same boat. We are part of the machinery here that could be interesting. But if the person driving the boat, if I can change metaphors, the person driving this crazy thing is the people driving are not paying attention to the damage that can be done or to the weakening of the potential that you and I are maybe attempting to leverage. So I'm concerned about some of the decisions and how they unfold, and then the fact that it's very difficult to find information about these things. Reporting on some of the finer points is often left to chance. Getting stuff on the homepage of a particular news website, for example, or getting follow-up, getting deep dive versus soundbite interviews, brief mentions. Why is ESPN covering the news of the city, but it's not front page news locally, right? So national outlet. And this was true during Formula One, for example, a lot more coverage of the Formula One race and the organization and the drivers and the teams. And so adjacent to that would be the impact on the city. I personally found the coverage from inside the house, could have been better. And it should be more smart city. And that's something I will certainly talk about more in future episodes, about how information sharing in a smart city could be taking place and how it is not today. So that's why all this is interesting. It's why I believe we are in interesting times, and it's part 1 because there will certainly be parts 2 through a million. The fun economy and baseball. Do you remember fun economy is a pending trademark by the University of Nevada, Las Vegas Office of Economic Development? Bo Bernard, very excited at this trademarking of the words fun economy. Keep up the good work. With NFL football and, of course, the Super Bowl, having come to Vegas and our NHL expansion team, the Golden Knights, they've been quite popular, very good additions to the economy, certainly, to the landscape, maybe, to traffic, sometimes. So in general, okay, great. Nice to have a couple of pro sports teams. They do make up one of the fundamentals of the fun economy. Tourism, gaming, conventions, entertainment, and professional sports. Gaming and professional sports being different, you can gamble and so win or lose cash on professional sports, and they are a form of entertainment, but they are considered a completely separate pillar of the fun economy. So entertainment is the residencies and the new sphere and so on. Gaming is gaming. Tourism is coming here to go shopping or to get away from it all or to get over something or this or that. So pretty straightforward. The fun economy focuses on tourism more than people living here, which is where you can run into trouble with local businesses suffering for the decisions that favor more visitor, tourist-oriented, larger companies or interests. So it makes sense to pause the Formula One racing excitement for a moment and add Major League Baseball, right? Why not? And so the state, the public monies are going towards the initial total required to build and deploy a baseball stadium at the site of the current Tropicana Resort and Hotel and casino. So, yeah, add Major League Baseball. And we should definitely be grabbing the same team horrible team from the same city as we got our football team. So that'll work out. And I've already told my story about the UMass Coliseum. So I've had my doubts throughout from almost 25 years ago. The rush to have more fun, though, has led to some concern about how the new stadium project is actually going to be funded. This has been an open question since the word go. Like, wait a minute. The price tag is another $1 billion, and no one said where that's coming from. So, I mean, if there weren't red flags flying through the air, thrown on the ground, wherever you want to put those red flags, there should have been plenty. And without a clear plan, not even how they're going to get out of Oregon to get to Nevada. I'm sorry, Oregon. Oakland. How we're leaving. Oh, wait, we have to figure out that part. We haven't done that yet. So they have a landing spot. They got some money, not enough money. They're displacing the people that work there and who are planning to stay at the Tropicana. They're going to tear down an entire building. And at some point during all of this, there will be, I have to imagine, we could wager on this. We're going to have to change the plan. So public money from you and me, that's us, going towards this thing without a clear plan, I think that's a problem. And again, it's interesting times and the people driving this crazy thing. I'm trying to make a Jetsons reference. Stop this crazy thing. So whoever's driving, I don't know if they're watching the road or if they're more excited about what's on the horizon. It's kind of interesting to me. The rush to have more fun, capital F, fun, has led to some concern about the new stadium project and how it's going to be funded, how it's going to be put together, whether the plan is even finalized, again, where they're going to be playing when they leave Oakland, but before the stadium is done, which will take, I want to say it was going to be 2 years to construct once they start. Of course, that hasn't started yet. In the meantime, there are lawsuits, like I said, the teachers union. That's the first one. Who knows what's going to happen next? The incomplete funding plans, confusion over the A's getting out of Oakland. Like I said, they forgot that part. And by the way, the Tropicana is going to be imploded. By the way, because I've already mentioned a couple of the implications, but the Tropicana is going away. And to me, if I was the Tropicana people, I guess they've received their monies. But in general, if any of this falls through, and I got to remind you, I know the A's are going to throw a wrench in here somewhere. They've done it before. If the plan falls through, then you got to wonder, what do we do with this giant hole in the ground? So that's going to be no fun. It will be unhappy if that happens. I'm not making light. I think it will be ridiculous. Or, as I've written in my notes here, whoopsie, on to the boring company. Not so boring after all. So the running into some worker safety issues. Of course, Elon Musk makes it. He phrases his commentary in such a way as Musk is quotable, right? As always. So workers being put in perilous situations, safety in general, you would think that'd be high priority. But now in the modern era, people are getting injured at Amazon warehouses. And, oh, by the way, my Amazon subscribe and save offer will come today. I hope nobody got hurt. Building cars in the Tesla factory, SpaceX project site, where they're building rockets and whatnot. Safety issues there. All these things have come up about how employees. So I kind of mixed Amazon and Tesla and SpaceX there, but in general, are big companies that are doing manufacturing of things or moving around of things, overly concerned with their profitability and not so much with the people. Maybe that's why they need robots so badly. Get the people out of there. Profit driven. So the Boring Company has one project, by the way. I don't know if you know this. The Boring Company had big plans. There is one sort of functional, demonstrable deployment of a Boring Company underground transit system. And that is right here in the Greater Vegas area in Clark County right now, running from the convention center, different parts of it along, what's the name of that street? Koval? By the West Hall over to Resorts World. They're supposed to add a bunch of additional tunnels to zip around underground. Now, I'm a fan of public transit. I would rather see the funding, the effort regardless of the funding. Sure, funding would help. I'd like to see the effort going into surface transportation improvements, better routing, safer bus stops, and safer buses. We had a couple people stabbed. At least one person died on a bus. One DUI driver. A couple of bus collisions. I know some of the bus stops that I wait at for our buses to arrive late, if they show up, have the delightful scent of urine. So we could do better. We can do better there. So instead of thinking about that stuff, let's tunnel underground and have cars driving where we could just lay down some tracks and have subways. I will remind anybody that doesn't know, I'm from New Jersey. And certainly New Jersey is not known for its subway, but right next door, right through Fort Lee, over to Harlem, into Manhattan, Subway City. So subways could be done. Not sure why they're using the not driverless Tesla to get around. I have yet to ride in the Hyperloop. I keep meaning to do it. I've been to CES. I've been to other shows at the convention center. I've been to Resorts World. Oh, I should just go down the escalator into the loop waiting area or something and just have a look, but I have not done it. So one of these days I will. I have to wonder what happens if the loop, the tunnels that Boring is drilling and will eventually be operating with not driverless Teslas. What happens if that goes the way of the Hyperloop, which was shut down? Are we going to end up with a bunch of tunnels that should have tracks for subway? That'd be kind of interesting. Maybe that's the way things will go. But this is, kudos to the mayor for being the voice of dissent. 13 people thought this was going to be a good idea. We'll see. 13 people who maybe have a trend going here that they don't think about things enough. Formula One racing has issues. So we're 9 months away. November, I cannot remember the date. It's not going to be the second week. I think it's the third week. But we'll see. I mean, that kind of stuff can move around, maybe, hopefully. They have that sorted out. But the return is about 9 months away. The lawsuits have started, so good to get them going early. The Strat, as I said, did not do as well. So they have some high hopes that the next iteration of the Formula One race here in Las Vegas will do better. Now, one would wonder, is this a zero-sum game? Will there be continued negative impact on small business? Small business, it doesn't matter so much. And I do have some ideas about this. So my concern is the people that are believing the fun economy is the most important thing are concerned more with the big money and not with the impact. So if you are a business owner in the Greater Vegas area, if you're a local especially, presumably if you're a business owner, you live here or near here. So you suffer the consequences of the decisions that are made without your input, without clear communications probably. Like, yeah, we're just going to rip up the street. And I've been in places. This happened in Sunnyvale, California when I used to live there. They tore up the street in the downtown Sunnyvale area, which was very small, very quaint. So they tore up the street to do sewer upgrades, and it took a long time, and it had a catastrophic impact on traffic, people, customers reaching downtown storefronts. So it wasn't like a secret, but the way the plan unfolded had direct impact on the small businesses. And it wasn't necessarily clear up front just how devastating it could potentially have been. And so this is where communication with the people who will suffer for the riches to go to the spoils to go to the richest to get richer, if I can mix all those words together. So yeah, the Formula One race I think is problematic, which I'm going to get to in the next section. No, I'm going to get to right now. Sorry. There's a reasonable example that the loop is of a combination. So the loop is an underground and out of view and expansive construction project that involves vehicles moving around. But the important part is that it is large, but it is out of view. So you don't see the loop going on. So who knew there's going to be employee safety issues? And then the baseball stadium is high profile. So you're going to hear about it a lot. But it's taking place because of the construction site being where the Tropicana, there's already construction. I know it's crazy, but there's usually some construction going on in Vegas. So that part doesn't even faze people anymore, unfortunately. So the notion of imploding another resort, that's happened enough times. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, let's go see it. Let's go see the Tropicana be imploded. So that will be a little event. It will probably get some celebration and some media coverage. It will have a substantial impact on the area immediately around it. Not only with the construction and the implosion, but the construction, the ongoing construction, the stadium renderings make it look a little bit big. So we'll see how it actually turns out. But the history of the Tropicana going away, so that's going to have some impact on just society in general. There will be some hurt feelings and sadness, loss of a legacy, another. Jobs lost. People may have been coming to stay at their favorite Tropicana, that'll be gone. So that doesn't really matter. Nobody cares about that stuff. Sweeping high impact projects like these. So the loop, the boring tunnel project is kind of a combination of the Formula One races, which are expansive but are above ground. So they have direct and easily seen and felt impact. And the baseball stadium is similar, but it's not as expansive. So it's more focused in a smaller geographic area. Although, the butterfly wings flapping can have an effect. And similarly, a construction project as vast as Formula One or underground as the boring tunnels can have vast effects as well. And who knows how the stadium thing will work out. But the impact on small business is more substantial than I think people were considering. I really hope they weren't surprised. I would assume right up front that they just didn't care. Like, well, small business they will get the, whatever falls, the scraps that fall off the table, right? Like, they'll be fine. I don't think there was much concern. But who knows? I was not sitting in any of the meetings where the Clark County Commissioner and others. And that's why, I said they're suing everybody. Small businesses suing Formula One, the LVCVA, and which, by the way, LVCVA plays so much a role in this that I don't know that we can trust their tourism data. So they collect the data and then they use it to bolster their case for success of Formula One. It'd be nice if that data wasn't so opaque, or if we had another way of capturing and analyzing data as an independent, disinterested third party that has no interest, that is uninterested in, whether there were 300,000 plus or minus. So the red flags, like I've said, I don't think care was given to the potential fallout that would have direct financial impact on the small businesses in the greater Vegas area, rather directly on the course, the racetrack course, as they would be impacted by construction, or if their foot traffic was impacted, or general tourism was down, or people were less likely to visit small businesses because they didn't come here. So the people who did come here came for the higher room rates and the Formula One race. So there are ripple effects, and I don't think that was properly weighed, and it was probably not communicated to these small businesses who may have been, who were likely to, whether that was really properly considered or not, likely to feel impact from the Formula One event. And that can happen with anything. So the new baseball stadium may, although because it is reasonably close to the Allegiant Stadium, maybe there's already some familiarity with how construction project that big plus sporting event schedules and traffic associated, what probably will happen. So I don't know that that's such a surprise on the horizon, but certainly the Formula One race, Formula One race, construction and impact on tourism, some plus, some minus, and the whole thing, I think it has been certainly a learning experience. And that is, of course, the defense. Well, we weren't sure. We just got to do it and see what happens. Sorry. So that's kind of curious to me. Not only this, sort of apathy, I guess, is a word I could use, are the people that are driving this, they're not considering these things. So should we have diminished confidence in the ability of the people driving, the steering individuals, committees, governing bodies, to account for these things so that the impact of these seemingly unrelated activities that may or may not directly impact you if you are attempting to be entrepreneurial and or innovative in the greater Vegas area. So you may not have felt a direct impact of the Formula One races. However, if you know that the people driving are not paying attention to the second and third order effects of project decisions like this and project implementation, what else could go wrong? Or maybe you're going to feel the impact sometime later. So do we have confidence in these decisions that are being made? Because what kinds of decisions await in the future? And of course, becoming aware of these ongoing and unfolding interludes can be a challenge. Our local media prefers episodic news coverage, and this is it's not a problem with our local media so much as traditional legacy media in general. A single news story will typically be designed to stand alone, so you can come upon a story and it will tell you the current facts, the inverted pyramid, who, what, when, where, why, how, and then it will fill you in with some details. And so each article kind of stands alone, but they're not. Traditional reporting is not designed to truly project future impact potential, because you're not reporting on the future, you're speculating, so they have to be kind of clear about that. But you could possibly help to draw a picture by Formula One right here, right next to me. You could possibly, when you report these things, construct a timeline or a history, or what are the locations involved, or well, here's the racetrack, but here's the number one thing that I would like to see personally, which is part of a project that we're working on for Innovate for Vegas, by the way, is a way to connect the people of the greater Vegas area through what we call the open data capture platform, to be able to capture things like, how is this impacting my business, my life, etc. So if we were collecting data, let's do a blue sky notion. If we were collecting data before, during, and after the Formula One race from, well, everybody who wants to be a part, but if we said, okay, you're a business along the racetrack, or there's a foot traffic path that will be impacted by a pedestrian bridge, or whatever the specific circumstances, if we could see over time, not anecdotally, not in a 30-second spot, in a human interest segment on a local news channel, if anybody still watches TV, or more likely on YouTube or some other online platform. So you can see the owner of the restaurant, is it Ferraris, I think it is, upset, reasonably upset, right? That's hey, it cost me $3 million. That's something to be a little bit perturbed about. But you only hear about it for that 30 seconds. So without some analysis or ongoing treatment of that, we're much more likely to hear about criminal, like violent crimes, when they catch someone and then they're going through the court process. Maybe it's a former city or county employee who's been arrested. That's one case. Maybe it's an athlete who was involved in a collision on the road under whatever circumstance. Okay, so these are the things that get more coverage. When you're talking about small business and direct impact by the fun economy, like, hey, the fun economy is supposed to be fun. Ixnay on the e-tails day. Come on, man. So if we don't really know what's going on, then we have to trust the reporting on and the decisions made by these other parties. And if you are at all curious about these things, you're like, okay, well, I don't know which businesses or individuals were impacted by these things. What's the story with the employees of the Boring Company who are probably NDA'd? Certainly they'll get fired if they try to speak, because the master of freedom of speech isn't. But how do we follow up on this? Well, if you're lucky enough to find an article somewhere on a website that you keep track of, or if somebody tweets about it, I guess. So I think these are problems, and that's why I'm calling this interesting times, because not only are these examples of some of the chaos going on, but just figuring out what the chaos is makes it that much more interesting. And I think this is an area where we could actually focus on our smart city efforts. If we are indeed a smart city, we should know what's happening on a regular basis, not be surprised that some people were vastly unhappy with the way Formula One treated their business, treated their livelihood, treated the way they are unable to compensate their employees, for example. So if you are considering doing business here, if you already have a business here, I personally, and so I am, looking at, like, wow, are you guys really paying attention to some of the decisions you're making? I think that's it's a cause for concern. It's certainly worthy of discussion, which is why you are always welcome to be a guest on the Cafe Genius Impresario's audio program, especially if you are an entrepreneur or a local innovator, and you want to talk about how these things are impacting you and your efforts. They probably are in some way, whether you know it or not. And it doesn't have to be one of the topics I raised today. It's more the governance, the forethought, the planning, how entrepreneurialism and innovation fit into the fun economy. Do they? Who's driving? I will refer in passing to the innovation district plans for the Clark County Innovation District. The proposal I've linked to in previous episodes. I'm sure I'll bring that up again at some point. I think I did an entire episode comparing the innovation zone plans in Berkeley, which had biology labs, biochemical labs. So science labs, presentation spaces, like workspaces. The innovation district proposal for Clark County had bars, restaurants, coffee shops, and some residential spaces. Like, we already have all those things. So I really question some of the decision making, some of the capability, the competence, if you will. So yes, do we live in interesting times? We certainly appear to. Would you like to talk about it? Well, come on down. As we get, now you may be thinking, I'm the only one that listens to this audio program. Why would I want to be a guest on there? Well, then you can tell two friends, and they can tell two friends, and so on and so on. But more interesting, I hope, is as we start deploying our MuniBits project, basically the way a smart city communicates with itself, information sharing platform. So the projects, there are two main projects that have this goal to deploy a modern information sharing site, not a news site that's like another WordPress, people writing words and, inverted pyramid journalism style. Journalist is fine. Journalism is great, but we do have plenty of tools. I love writing with pen on paper, but the world has moved on. It's nice to include some new modern tools and methods and make use of things like maps and timelines and keyword mapping and folksonomies, enable people to collaborate on information capture and analysis, make use of analytical tools. Jupyter notebooks are a thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the interesting times we are seeing now, we must have a better view on them than local news coverage, which can be, here's an old expression for you, catch as catch can. You are much more likely to hear about an eye-catching dramatic story about crime or politics, basically the same thing, or somebody won some money on a casino or a sporting event, or you're going to get the shiny objects with news coverage. These deeper meanings, deeper dives, more journalism, not so much glitz and glamour reporting. So the actual details are not as exciting. Like, who wants to hear about people getting injured digging a tunnel? That's not exciting, but it is real, and it's something to think about. So that is where I'm going to leave it today. Thank you again for listening. As always, do tell a friend. buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo for links to these audio programs, the 4 I produce: Quaggling Sand, FFS Talk, Cafe Genius Impresarios, and the Let's Innovate for Vegas programs. 4 audio programs each week. If you want to be a guest on this one or any of the others, do reach out. Always time to talk to you. You are under no obligation to buy me any coffees, but if you want to, great. And on that note, I'm going to go make a coffee because it's almost 11 o'clock in the morning, and I like to do the audio program before I drink the coffee because that doesn't really help my voice out. And that's where I'm going to leave it today. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week. Hopefully, we'll get our damn website deployed so we can self-host. That's been on the agenda for a long time. Lots of things going on. Hopefully they will be easier to talk about if I can point to some things, and we can start pointing at things that are rolling out, that they're not just ideas, but they're innovation and implementation happening. More on that later. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay out of that wind.